Today is the 14th of May, 2025, CRAZII Market Talk with KEL at 10 a.m., which is 10 delayed by half an hour. Apology on that. So we're going to go right into the market. And then today is a special session. After the market talk, right, we're going to cover what is the PTP indicators. So today we'll talk about PTP indicators after the market talk. So for those who are interested to hear the PTP indicators, then stay tuned, yeah? Okay, so disclaimer apply as usual before we get into the market itself. All right, let's go. All right, so let's look at the US Dow Jones right now. This is going to be interesting. Okay, let me just bring to you why I am saying it's interesting. Okay, just give me one moment, yeah. I'll get this for you. Okay, and I change this to TLP. Okay. Okay, let me just make the chart up bigger. Okay, guys, this is what I am worried, and it's actually manifesting right now. The bond market yesterday continued to fall and is getting very close to the 85 region that I was talking about. In fact, itself, right, the 30 years yield has shoot up to near 5%, the 30 years yield, yeah? So this is not a good sign because, as you know, the 10-year yield has been creeping up, and yesterday it touches 4.5%. Today there's a bit of pullback, but I can't figure it out. It could continue to go. And of course, if it goes to the 4.65%, that was what happened back then in February the 12th. So you look at February 12th, right? Look at the Dow Jones, February the 12th. Where are we? February 12th, we were somewhere around here, okay? That's where the Dow was, and that was back at 44,000. And today we are actually at this point here. So today I want to give you a few information that you need to really reconsider. All right, first of all, you can see that we have a very strong rejection at the moving average SMA 200. Okay, so we had a closing above the SMA 200 for the cash market, but last night we have a strong rejection by opening higher and close lower. So the thing is today, the 41,800 will be a very significant support that the market has to stay because that's a 61.8 level. That's a Fibonacci level. If the market do lose below 41,800, then there is a very, very high possibility to see a 1,000 point drop from where we are right now. Okay, so this is something very, very important. I need you guys to understand this. And the triggering point, I'm very, very confident it should become the interest rate. I mean, the 10-year yield or the bond yield itself. So if you actually look at my Facebook, I already written there itself that the 10-year bond, 10-year yield will be one thing to be watching very closely about. Yeah, so do take note of that. Okay, so let's go back to this point here. You can see right now the Dow Jones opened at 42,173. The MLP is 42,283. So which means that the MLP is above the OP. So by default, when the MLP is above you, you just sell when it's below OP. Okay, that's the first thing you do. Now, second thing, if you notice the weighted moving average, the one that we are using is weighted, is 42,376. So by default, it also means it's being resisted the last 2 days, right? The last 2 days is being resisted already. So this will add on the bearishness of the market. Now, the only saving grace right now is that the short term is still bullish, yeah? Okay, the short term is still bullish. So let's hope that this can hold the market. But judging from what I'm seeing right now, I think a bit difficult. So watch out for pivot 2 at 42,012. If the market goes there, right, short sellers can buy back some position. But if the market peers below it itself, then the selling could bring it down all the way to 41,773. Now there's a gap here. Do note there's a gap here between the closing of 41,375 to 41,773 approximate. So there's a 400 points gap in between. And if the market do go below 41,773, this 400 points gap could be covered within the same day. So all these things tells me to be very careful moving right now. Now because now there's nothing left. All the tariff have been have been talking about it all at 10%, right, for the next 90 days. And then China itself is 30%, right? So there's nothing else, okay, until Donald Trump and his administration decide to lower down from 10% to 5% to zero, okay, then back to square one. But I don't think so because he's like he cannot go backward. He can only go forward. Right. If you go backward, then the whole episode is really redundant, really. So it's either now he stays with the 10% or he increased back again, depending on the countries. Right. So I don't think he has any more cuts on his table, especially for the interest, I mean for the yields itself. Maybe for other businesses, other deals, he may have cuts on his hand, but come to the yield itself, right, got no cuts because really, if the market decided that they don't believe that the bond market is going to be good, then the yield will go up by itself. What's the bond price and bond yield? They go by inverse directive. So I am pretty confident that the US bonds will continue to fall. I'm pretty confident of that. So how low can the bond go, right? I think if you look at the bond chart, you can actually feel it yourself. See, rather than I tell you that how I feel, I think that very from the look at this whole thing itself, right? I think you can feel it yourself because you see, the market initially at the highest point, that was in September, then it went all the way down. That was where Paul Tudor Jones and friends called for a sell, right? And the thing is this, after that itself, the market got rebound. And that was where, during that was where the election has finished and everybody knows that Donald Trump is going to be the next president. And the moment he come in itself, he really whacked the floor. You can see that. And then after that, the market recovered a little bit, okay? Came down halfway mark. So when you whack it up by right itself, that was where everything looks good. But if you notice, the closing was actually down closing. So the next day, oh my God, because of Donald Trump, because he's very into against China back then, the bond price just literally jumped down. Okay. Then when you hit this point itself, a lot of people say, okay, this is the bottom because this was the previous bottom here. Yes, indeed, the market recovered and everybody thinks that good course is clear. But now the problem is that we have already have a deal closed with China, but yet the bond market continued to fall. And this is not healthy. Why? Because you see the volume is not small, no, my friend. The volume is quite big. So the thing is this, if the bond price do crash down to 83, if the bond price do crash down to 83, oh my God, that's going to be very, very scary for a lot of traders. And this is something that you must be very, very careful because when the bond price goes to 83, that means that the stock market will easily lose by at least 1,000 points from where we are right now. So it's going to be very, very scary. You have to take note of that. Yeah, I hope it doesn't happen, but based on what I'm seeing, it is very, very possible. Okay, all clear? If all clear, press number 1 right now. Now, of course, you ask this question, Cal, how come the technologies are going so well when the Dow Jones is not doing well? Now, Dow Jones basically came down because of United Health Group. Remember, in my MAO video, I covered this company called United Health Group. All right, if you missed the MAO video, we'll take a look. Now, United Health Group is a very big company, and I shared in the MAO video. It actually runs. It is being like bought, invested by many big boys. So interestingly, so right, the company share has plunged so badly, and yet the big boys didn't really bother. Look at it yesterday. Oh my God, look at it. Yesterday, right, United Health Group plunged by 18% overnight. That means already down already, right? That's terrible. The RSI is really at the very terrible end. You can see the RSI is ridiculous. Hey, wait, annotate those way. One. You can see that the market already at the very low end. The RSI was literally rooted to the ground. And then the next day, oh my God, the thing continued to plunge. Now, what's the reason? Apparently, okay, apparently it's not right. They are facing major issue, including cyber attack, 190 million people and a Medicare, sorry, billing probe. Okay, they're being probed by the government itself, and also the CEO All right, those who went up became just straight away they left. So this is bad. And the volume traded yesterday was huge, right? It's really very big volume. Traded nearly how many volume? How much? Let me take a look. Wow, traded nearly. What's the volume? What is it? Okay, hold on. The total volume was almost 16 million. Oh my God. Average itself only like 7 to 8 million. Yesterday, 10 times. Oh my God. It's literally like running out. So because of this one, right, it basically hit the Dow Jones very badly. Okay. So the thing is, because of that, that means the conventional stock into an issue. So since that the China deal is settled, the chips can be moving again. That's why everybody zoom in to buy the significant seven. You can see that what happened over here. So same thing, the moving average we talked about just now for the Dow Jones, I told you right, because it's being resisted, that's why the market come down. So vice versa, if the market is resisted itself, it will go down, that is fine. You see that it resisted, it go down, it's fine. But once it goes and stay above it, become a strong buy. So that's why I say that this moving average itself is pretty useful for traders in the mid to long term. So now the thing is this, of course you ask, yeah, if the 10-year yield really plunge, I mean really shoot up, sorry, then would that cause the Nasdaq to have a bit of change of directive? So very simple. What you need to do is we just have to go back to do this. I put it 10-year the bond market, and then I put a crossover with the Nasdaq and DQ and DQ. Okay, and then I put it overlay onto it. You take a look for yourself. Now you see that, okay? So basically on the chart, it seems that whenever the yield is the bond price goes down, there will be also a downside in this Nasdaq. So when the bond price goes up, the Nasdaq goes up. Okay, so you can see that it's quite uniform, right? So what is happening? Oh, the Nasdaq goes up, but the bond price goes down. This is something different really. So this is something that is very, very scary. And that means that the market is just now not really following the regularity and it's going different size. So I will just say this, how high it go right now, it may be also the catalyst to come down later. So that's why I'm not too sure why the Nasdaq, everybody jumping in because maybe they think that that's the safest place. But I think when the thing really happened, I think this Nasdaq will fall faster than anybody else. Yeah. So that is my personal view on the Dow Jones, and I'll just share with you. So let's look at the Nasdaq over on our side itself. Our Nasdaq shows pretty clear signal that everything looks good. It is running up itself. There's boys are buying, K6 are okay, and the four diamond appeared. So you need to put a white line at the closing price, and that's why yesterday the Nasdaq opens below the KCL for a while, then really went up again. So as long as the Nasdaq stays up, then there's nothing for us to do. Yeah, just take note of that. We need to make sure that the market stays up above the white line that we are seeing right now. Okay, so that is the Nasdaq, and then let's go to S&P 500. Also the same thing, everything looks the same all the way run up itself, and now the S&P 500 is a bit tight because both S&P is torn between the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones, so that's why the thing is not as strong as the the Nasdaq. Yeah, okay, so this one watch out for. If the market breaks below pivot 25856, then the selling may come. If not, it will still focus on the buy side. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at the next market, which is crude oil. Now, crude oil recently has recovered a little bit because of the Donald Trump. He went there with Saudi, and I think they made a 600 billion deal, but not to share the details yet. So that is how the thing works when you have a market. Okay, you have a market that, you know, give you the insights what to do, color change, boys buying, and the price goes up. So you know what to do. All right, yeah. So crude oil today is 63 for opening. I think there might be some resistance because pivot 2 is 63.48. So if the market fail to go above the OP and start to come down, right, guys, there's a chance that you see crude oil coming back down to 61.12 again. Now, if it happens again, some of you be buying, some of you be cursing, but that is how the thing should be going. Yeah, that's for the market on this side here. And last one, we talk about the Canadian dollar. Let's take a look at Canadian dollar. Yesterday, Iman asked me. So yesterday, Iman, you asked me Canadian dollar. It did try and really, really go to the double top, as I told you, right? It really go for the double top. And after that, it pulls back down. And today now, it's trading below pivot 2. So which means that there will be some selling pressure later, especially if the candlestick turns to red in color. Okay, so this one is very, very important for those who are parents who has, who are working on Forex. They can try on this. Okay, next currency and I showed you is the dollar yen. Now the dollar yen, you can see that today is hovering between the two pivots. And of course, we have the diamond that is showing here itself, so nothing to be afraid of. So the OP, okay, the OP and the MLP is not close at all. OP is 147.42, yeah? This is about 30 pips from where we are right now. Okay, so by the way, look at it, right? You can see that this is like it's a small little elephant trade whereby the price coming down, but the KSI retained green. All right, so when that thing happened, that's always a good strong start. Just like over here, the market was down for 3 days, right? But the KSI was green, so it's diamond here itself. The market really go to where it came from. All right, so that is very, very possible, yeah, for this to all happen for today and this week itself. Well, guys, thank you very much. We will take a short break for 1 minute and then we'll come back to talk about the PTP indicator. So don't go away, yeah. Thank you very much.